we're assuming that the stovetop will work. Yeah, well, all right, cool. So what I'm using is a really big pot. I have a lid on it. And to the left-hand side of my cooking space, I have a tray with a wooden spoon, a wooden chopstick, a measuring cup that has a pitcher and a handle, and a box of pasta, right? Just so you know what ingredients we're using. Now, my preferred stovetop pot, best thing in the whole wide world, is one cast iron skillet. Dutch oven. Dutch ovens are super heavy. They're not gonna move. They usually have nice, good contrasting colors. And why I like them is you're not gonna move this by, all right, I just moved it by, but you know what I mean? It's like pretty solid and it doesn't move a lot on its own. Whereas other pots sometimes are, right? It's just a good thing to evaluate the weight of a pot before purchasing or encouraging use of. If a client in their home only has this one pot, then you're gonna have to make it work and you're gonna have to come up with a solution. But if they have the means to get something else, it's really great, right? The heavier the pot, the safer it is. Because I don't know if y'all have really good muscles like myself. I'm not gonna make you use this heavy Dutch oven, but it is great. And just fun fact, Dutch ovens can go in the oven. So they are multifunctional, okay? So if a client says, what do I buy and why now? And I want to use my stovetop, say if you can, one Dutch oven is the best thing you can buy for yourself. They're really, really, really great. That being said, we're not going to use it. We have just a regular pot with a lid. Biggest thing is you want to make sure that your pot is centered, because if it's not centered, bad things can happen. Right? We are using a gas stove because that's my preferred stove to teach on. It has multiple senses combined, depending on a person's vision loss or additional syndromes or conditions. But you have heat, sound, and smell. Okay? They're all combined, whereas if we're using an electric or induction cooktop, you don't have most of those, right? Now, the other thing that I prefer is to always teach on the backmost burners so they don't fall towards your feet accidentally. Back is best, but on this stove, our smaller burners are in the back, and we have a big, beautiful pot here that will not work with these small burners, okay? So we're gonna cook on the front. Why I don't like the front is that front feet, right? Front burner can fall onto your feet more easily. That is why back is best. And if it's a big pot, it's gonna rest up against the back of that, so it has more like safety combined, okay? Now, how do I know if this pot is centered? I would feel underneath the pot at 6 and 12 and 3 and 9.
Do you want me to swoop over here so you can come in? It's okay.
Are you sure? Get as close as you want. I don't care. Get in here. Get comfy.
All
All right. All right. We're all friends here. Okay. Other things to use would be a chopstick. All right. Chopsticks are great. You get them for free when you get Chinese food.
That is the longest chopstick I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know where this came from. Amazon? Why would you buy chopsticks on Amazon?
It's
They're
like
free.
It's like double the size.
Yeah, that's
of
not
a
bad.
chopstick.
This is like Lord Voldemort's wand.
Yeah, it is. I was just about to say that.
Smell the arms, alright? Has anybody noticed that I have a giant Harry Potter Lego castle?
Yes, I did notice.
It's no chopstick.
The other day,
I was like,
What
is
that?
the other
wait, is
day,
that what I think it is?
the other day, I
Where would they have
realized-
seen it? The Zoom?
Yeah, the other day I realized that it wasn't
Yeah.
super bad happening to class.
It's like me, and it's just like looking at me.
Alright, so we know that it's centered. We can use a chopstick at 12, 6, 3, and 9. This is a really big pot to demonstrate this method with. Excuse me. Let me grab the smaller pan. I got a smaller pan out now. You can hear when I touch the handle that it's not centered. When it's centered, it shouldn't do that as much, right? We don't want to rely on that. We always want the handle to be what I call the runway, okay? Think of a typical stove. This is our nice runway. So if I were to run my white cane of the stovetop, which is my chopstick, I would find the handles here, okay? I want the handle to be far away from me so I don't hit it accidentally, and I also don't want to grab it while I'm cooking, okay? Every time you grab this, it becomes uncentered, and that's dumb. We don't want it to be uncentered because then it falls on our feet, okay? Now, if I wanted to feel if this was centered, I could come at the corners and see if they're all equidistant around, or again, just feel under at the sides. This is a really weird stove, and this technique worked awesome on our old stove. This technique does not work good on this stove. It's unfortunate. This gas stove has a long, kind of like fifth burner in the middle. That would be for like pancakes or paninis or something like that, and I'm
That's the kind of stove I have at home.
sad. Is it?
Yes.
Do you like it?
I do. We rarely use that middle part, but I use it to put like a spoon.
Okay.
I don't know.
So it's like a fancy spoon rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I had a stove like this once, and it was my favorite thing ever. Okay, apparently it's not good for teaching. So we are back to our pot, and what we would want to do is add as many things as we can to a pot before we turn it on. Think about your recipes that say, add the oil, and after 2 minutes when it's fragrant, add the garlic. And then after 60 seconds, it's gonna be even more fragrant, and then you're gonna add your potatoes. No, just add it all at once, okay? The more we add to our pot before we put it on the stove, the better, right? Because every time we're adding something over the stovetop, there's the potential to make a mess, have something catch on fire. The recipe police is not gonna come out and be like, oh my God, did you not let your garlic get like smelly and fragrant? Like, no one cares, and it doesn't impact the recipe at all. Okay, we want to add as much as we can before we start. And if we were making something that had multiple steps, like we had to saute onions for, let's say, 10 minutes before we add the peppers, and then we're going to add the meat, we would not touch the stovetop and turn anything on until everything is prepped and in bowls lined up. So we would have our pot with our onions sauteing, and after 10 minutes when we add the peppers, we already have the peppers here, ready to go. We don't turn this on until we are completely ready to start the activity. Okay, I'm gonna fill this up with water. So let's say our water is boiled and we're going to add in the pasta. We would never pour from a box because bad things happen. Go ahead.
Can I ask, just, you don't have to do it, but I just wanna know, so like that's a larger pot, so say I have a consumer who's making a large meal and they need to have the whole pot full of water, so they have to hold both handles. Would they just like trail with their body across the counter to get back to the stove?
Yep.
Okay.
The other idea is if you have a really large pitcher, they could fill this up twice and come over and fill it up. I try to not pour anything over the stovetop, so this would be over here, and I would be coming multiple times to fill it up.
Okay.
You don't have to fill it up at the sink if you don't want to.
Okay.
That's a really great question, but the other thing that you have to think about is that if they're filling a pot up this big and it's going to be this heavy, they are going to have to strain it.
Yes.
So they do need the strength and the mobility and the like orientation really.
Yeah,
to think
so then
about
when
it.
they strain, they would have to trail, because there's no option.
Yeah, exactly.
You would like hit here, wouldn't you, when you're
Yeah,
Those
we did not
stove handles?
Yeah, you're not wrong. This is not designed.
Yeah, do the.
Listen, there are a lot of issues with it. Thing would be here, for my friend who wants it spelled out. They would go here, trail to this island, and trail with their left hip on the island towards where the sink would be. The other thing to remember, if your water is boiling and you're like, my timer is going to go off in a minute or two, I would come over here and run the water. This way I have a nice sound for my orientation, and when I go like this, I'm like, oh, where's my sink? Oh, it's over here. Let me follow the sound. All right. I never want this stovetop turned on unless I know that my strainer is already in the sink. There's none of those, oh, I'm done, where's my strainer? No, that strainer is in the sink. It's a big strainer, it's metal. I know nowadays they have those things that snap onto the pots, they have plastic ones. My favorite method is this. You are all gonna be BRTs and you can teach however you think is best. I found this to be really good because it's solid, not solid like there are holes, but it's a good base so it doesn't move in the sink. And it's wide enough that if I pour my pot away from my body towards that strainer, even if I over pour a little bit, it's so wide that it will catch all the food or pasta, okay? Then what you would do is you would put your pot to the other side of the strainer, pick up the strainer, and then pour that into the pot. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So strainer's always in the sink. So when a person is making pasta, we're not gonna pour from the box because there are those really dumb flaps that don't need to be there, but they're there. And then they messes up like how you're pouring in your pasta.
Oh, that happens to me all the time.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can rip them off, or better yet, here's a plastic pitcher with a handle.
Mhm.
I like the bigger glass ones just because that's my preference, but this is what I found in the storage. So I would pour in my pasta, however much I want, into this pitcher. So for this activity, I would make sure that a student has their pot, they have a wooden spoon, they need their chopstick, and their pasta is pre-measured into the container. When this water has boiled, which I might know auditorily, has anybody heard of or used a boil alert disc?
I've heard of it, but I haven't used it.
All right, Daisy, you're shaking your head, you have one?
Yes.
Yeah, do you like it?
I do, because I also have some slight hearing loss, so it's really hard unless I put my head really close to figure out if it's boiling, which is not safe.
That is not safe, that's good.
Yeah.
What is it called, sorry?
So it's called a boil alert disc. Which one do you have, Daisy? Okay, here, I'll word it a different way. Do you have the metal one or the ceramic one?
I have the ceramic one, but I think the metal one might be.
It's not that I'm saying that. The metal one I think is round. They have a ceramic one that has a weird little chef going,
Yeah.
chef's keys on it,
Yeah.
right? Okay. There's also a plasticky one that kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies because like, why am I like heating up plastic and then
Yeah.
putting on water?
Mm-hmm.
Boil alert discs are good if you have some hearing loss. Now, if you are profoundly deaf or hard of hearing, how do we know? We might not know. Okay? Time is going to be your best friend. Knowing 2 cups of water takes 5 minutes, 4 cups of water takes 10 minutes, that's going to be on you as the instructor to start knowing how long certain amounts of water take to heat. It also does, Megan, make a difference what kind of pot you're using, what kind of stove you're using. I never teach to ever turn on anything higher than medium. So if a thing says like on high heat, make the garlic fragrant, who cares? Everything's on medium, and if you need to, you double the time. Bad things happen when things are on high heat because you can't control it quick enough. So medium is best. The only time we turn our heat to high is if you're boiling water, because I'd rather watch paint dry than wait for my water to boil, right? And why it's safe is because it's only water. There's no oil, there's no food. A fire isn't gonna just combust out of water, hopefully, unless you're Harry Potter, right? Likely this will not, bad things won't happen, okay? Okay, so when you're using a boil alert disc, Daisy, do you remove yours when you cook your pasta or do you leave it in the whole time?
I leave it in and dump it out the pasta.
Okay, that is one method. So you can cook with the boil alert disc in it. I find it to be annoying, maybe you don't, but it rattles the whole time you're cooking the pasta. Okay, because presumably your water is still hot, so it's still rattling. That puts me in sensory overload, so I remove it. You can remove it with a slotted spoon or like a spaghetti, like the spaghetti spoons. Remove it. It is not to be stupid, it's gonna be really hot, okay? So be careful, and then you can pour in your pasta and it won't be making the noise. Okay. For our consumers who have additional hearing loss, if you lightly place your chopstick, giant chopstick on a pot, you can feel it.
Okay.
It vibrates ever so slightly. I feel comfortable that somebody who has additional like hearing and vision loss will likely have the increased tactile and sensory
100%.
awareness
Yeah.
to feel it. Someone who is new to blindness is gonna be like, I don't feel anything.
Would that maybe work with like a wooden spoon or something as well, or do you
The
recommend
thinner the
the
best,
thinner? Okay.
because it picks up the vibrations better. So my water's boiling. I may or may not have used a boil alert disc. It may or may not have been removed depending on your sensory overload, which Tina gets overloaded. I am going to use my wizards as a way.
This is my news department. I work for Helen Keller National Center,
Oh, okay.
so I work with deaf consumers. So that's why she keeps like calling me out and being like. So a lot of my consumers are like full, like big D deaf. So I have to do a lot of like tactile touch, which is thank you so much for
Yeah. Oh my God. No, of course.
mentioning it.
And mention if anybody has other. I know you got old people, but like, like if you have like anything else that's like specific, let me know so I can add that in. So I'm using my chopstick to figure out where my pot is. Okay, this is my white cane of the stovetop, and I'm like, oh hey, I hear that, I feel that. Here's the pot, and I want to make sure, is this here? Yep. Okay, I'm going around. I know I'm in the pot, but where's the center? I don't want to guesstimate, none of this waving. It's hot over here, let me pour it in. No, that ain't safe, okay? So with my chopstick, I'm banging at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I'm stopping where I think the center is. And then I'm gonna go 9, 3, 9, 3, and stop where I think the center is. 9 times out of 10, I don't know how it works. It's magic, because it's a wand. It is gonna be directly in the center. And I hold my hand here, while I'm grabbing my pasta with the left hand, and I'm going to meet the two in the middle, chef's kiss, and then I pour down along the chopstick, okay? That way it always lands. Come on over, video. Yep, come on over. So here's my chopstick. Yep. So you would go, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and stop where you think the center is. Yep. And now go 9, 3, 9, 3. Yep. Yep.
Try not to look. 30, I think. Stop.
Yep. So here's your pitcher of pasta.
Okay.
Yep. And you would bring that to the chopstick, make them kiss,
Oh.
and then you pour it right in.
Is it the tip, like here, or just?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yep. Now, the lower you go, the better. And this goes on the comfort level of the client.
Oh, awesome.
Sometimes I might be under here with your, can I demonstrate this? Do you mind holding this? Here, come back to the chopstick. If I'm working with a client and they're like, oh, it's hot, this is when I do hand underhand and my hand's here. I'm taking the heat and I'm going, you're safe, you can trust me. Here's my hand, let's do this together. And this is a really good demonstration of hand underhand. This is gonna be hot, and likely it's gonna take longer than you might feel comfortable, and so their hand will get hot. I don't wanna introduce a oven mitt, because that's just a lot of bulkiness, and then you're not feeling what you should be feeling. So
It's
my
more
hands,
comforting too.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
comforting. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. All right. So thank you, video. So in this pot, I have my pasta, and on the tray, the only other tool I have is a wooden spoon. Okay. As soon as I pour in my pasta, I'm gonna stir it just a couple times. Put the spoon over to the side, and I'm gonna make sure that I set that timer so I don't forget to strain it. Or excuse me, stop it when it's done. We don't need to be here like Nonna, like stirring constantly. It's every couple minutes, okay? Now, my timer goes off. What do? I turn off the timer. I turn off the heat. I immediately come over. I turn on that sink. I grab the pot with both hands. I might use oven mitts if I feel uncomfortable. And I'm gonna walk over to the stove. Pour the pot, I'm shutting that off so you can hear me. Pouring the pot away from my body, all the way. Okay? And then I would put this pot over to the side of the sink. This sink is really small and my strainer's really small, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just not going to. Then what I would do is I would walk back to my stove with my cooked pasta back in, and I don't care if this is centered. I want to cover over that hot burner so I don't touch it accidentally. That's here, and let's say I want to add some sauce, because what's pasta without sauce? I'm then gonna put additional things I might want in here, okay? Any questions about the stovetop?